the amount of brands, barbecue brands that have their own incredible following, Pappy's, Arthur Bryant's, 17th Street Barbecue, they're all using Ole Hickory Pits.
Yes.
And speaking of family, two of the people that made a big impact on our barbecue story is Mike Mills and Amy Mills.
Go ahead.
We've followed them. We've read their content, read their books, had the pleasure of interviewing both Mike Mills and Amy Mills in Fort Worth during the National Barbecue Association. They had their annual meeting in Fort Worth, Texas, and we got to interview both Mike and Amy. And, Mike passed away. Can you say a few words about Mike Mills?
I could talk all day about it. He was a great man, and we were best friends. And it was terrible losing him. But we have so many memories, so wonderful moments of things that we did together for barbecue and with barbecue around the country. One of the most memorable things was an annual event up in New York City. You talk about spreading the word of barbecue and getting it out there. That, 15, 20 years ago, Mike partnered up with some folks in New York City and opened a barbecue restaurant called Blue Smoke.
Danny Meyer, yeah.
Danny Meyer. When
Yep.
in New York City, when Danny talks, everybody listens.
Yep.
And it was very successful. And so after the first year, they had a party right out on 27th Street and invited a couple of pitmasters to cook barbecue out on the street. And lo and behold, the crowd just gathered and was tied up Madison Avenue and the streets and so forth. And so it was such a success. They had a rainstorm to make it an annual event, but move it 2 blocks over to the east and west on Fifth Avenue. And there's a park there, the Madison Square Park, that was kind of a nasty little place with needles on the ground and all that. And Danny Meyer with Mike and the group up there worked a deal if they could use money to finish that, to clean up the park, that they would do barbecue around there and have a 2-day event. Well, it would lasted for, I guess, maybe 15 years, 14 or 15 years. And it was amazing. When it first started, Mike called me and he said, "You're not going to believe this." I said, "Okay, I'll bite. What's going on?" He says, I'm sitting in a chair in the middle of Madison Avenue cooking barbecue." I said, really? And so then it wasn't long that I had to go up there and join in the fun. And my daughter went with me back then. And we went up and spent time at the event and met all kinds of people and all that stuff. And it was an annual trek every year to go to New York City and meet barbecue people. And Mike was the kingpin of it. But then there were so many other great barbecue people that were part of the group. And it was just amazing event.
I mean, one of the things that I love about Mike, and it's the thing that I love about Gene Goycochea, my barbecue mentor, is the question is always, how can I help?
Yes.
And somebody that is as legendary as both Gene is and as Mike Mills are, they have so much knowledge and they have so much demand on their time, yet they're willing to help the little guy that's just starting out. Literally,
he had more patience than anybody I've ever met, and more kind and giving of his time than you could ever imagine. So, like when I would go to an event like in Memphis in May,
yeah,
walking around with Mike through the barbecue, there's thousands of people there, and I'd be walking around with him, and it was like if we were at a cowboy convention, I had Roy Rogers. I was walking with,
right?
We wouldn't get 5 feet, and people would come up and shake his hand. And, "Do you remember when you helped me learn how to skin ribs?"
Yes.
Do you remember? And it was a sheer delight to see the love that emanated from that man's teachings.